Where do we start but in the clay pit? So Bobby Harris of Acme Brick is going to talk to us about mining and exploration. Bobby?
Morning. Well, I drew the short straw today, so I get to go first. And I think some people would rather go first instead of me. But when we're talking about getting back to basics, that's what we're truly doing here in exploration and mining. I've been fortunate enough to talk about two topics this morning. Thank you, Garth Taylor, my boss. And here on slide one, as you can see, on this brick there are two departments which join forces to handle raw materials from start to finish. We share similar goals to supply high-quality raw materials in the most consistent way possible to make our products. Does this thing sound okay? Little feedback. Okay, what we've done, kind of broken everything down like a puzzle. To me, that's the way I see our products. I mean, there are a lot of pieces to it. So let's discuss some criticals in both topics, and we'll begin with exploration. Okay. First thing is we need to understand the need. In exploration, we meet with our production associates to learn from them any issues or problems they experience with their raw materials. We ask questions like, excuse me, any physical property issues, mining problems, material quantity problems, environmental or material handling issues, losses, etc., to best identify the trouble spots. We can best lead by listening and showing our associates they have our full attention. In some cases, prospecting may be needed. Our company desires a 30-year minimum reserve for each component in every location's base body program. With the variation in raw materials for each location, a 30-year reserve can at times be a tall order. We always begin by studying the geologic formations in the immediate area. And we do this within a 50-mile radius, attempting to target suitable raw materials. If needed, we'll expand the search in areas as the projects develop. It's an interesting slide. In exploration, we're very greedy folks, and we're definitely not shy. We'll use any resource we can find to help us identify the best raw materials to fit the need. We'll work with state geologists, local universities, students, water well drillers, well boring logs, oil field e-logs, soil conservation offices, permitting offices, other drilling managers in geotechnical fields, and yes, even realtors and lawyers. In this case, this is what you see on the slide before you. There's some raw material that we obtained from NRRI, which is the National Resource Research Institute. Can't believe we got that out. And what they had done is they had sent some students out. This was in Minnesota. And they had sent some students out in boats down tributaries, and they had taken some hand samples and helped identify a lot of the exposed geology and outcrops. Well, they had the money to do that, but they didn't have the money to take it the next step, which is testing the raw materials. And we offered to do that for them. So as you can see, the numbered squares that you see are pieces of fired material, and next to it is the raw material. And then there's just a little data sheet there with it to tell a little bit about the clay fraction, particle size equivalent. So see, I mean, if you're hunting some red materials, we also had maps to go with it, then we could identify where those samples were taken and the students were pretty good about explaining the thickness that they encountered, and sometimes they would even take a geoprobe and drill down a little bit just to see if it was thicker. So it was pretty helpful information. It did aim us in the right direction where a lot of the geology was weak. There's just not a lot of geology there finding buff material or buff fired material. Also, let's see here, slide 10. On the water well boring logs, we had literally hundreds of these, which are public, just public information. So we could simply download some of these water well records. And in this particular case, we were looking for a kaolin material. So we started to read up quite a bit on what these water well drillers were saying in certain areas that we had concluded there might be some kaolin. It may be kind of hard for you guys to see, but on the left, these are just a few little topics that the state requires the water well drillers to fill out every time they complete a well. But on the left side there, when they start talking about kaolin, well, does the water well driller really understand what kaolin is? Does he know what clay really is? I mean, after all, his target is water. But he's done enough drilling to know the difference between sand, clay, silt. So we give it quite a bit of a merit, if you will. And then he'll get to the middle part. He'll start describing the color of it. He'll tell you whether it's a hard material, soft material. So there's enough information there. Sometimes we can read between the lines and say, that might be a really good material for us to go and target, and then we'll follow up on it. Really good resource. The actual drilling and sampling of the targeted formations offers the best possibility for proving out the desired materials that we're hunting. Identifying suitable raw materials as results of our prospecting efforts develop, we study reliable fire testing results. Examples of that. This is on the right side there, that's what we call our war room. That's our research department where my office is. And in our war room, our associates gather as a team. We study the different raw materials and their potentials to build a consensus. There's always lots of inputs from veteran brick makers, and decisions are made whether or not to move forward and securing the newfound reserves. Securing reserves. In our company, we choose to purchase the properties to secure our reserves, allowing the best control of mining, stockpiling, and manage the quality. Sometimes it's easier said than done. You may have a reluctant property owner that really doesn't want to sign on the dotted line. It's always good when we can get things to work in our favor. So at closing, we move quickly with mining permits and any potential environmental issues. During the mine planning development, and this is some food for thought, in some cases you may encounter situations where fired results are inconsistent. In this event, we can include closer centered drilling and sampling to help complete the material profile and consistent use of the material. Here are my top 4 picks for successful mine plan. First, of course, we must match the current or new base body. Second, consider the life of the mine. Did we involve all of the brick-making reserves? Third, the plan must be practical and doable. Don't do something on your plan that you just won't be able to complete. And fourth, repeatable stockpiling. Will the plan continue to work toward the end of the mining campaign by staying within historical base body requirements? Assisting with new and current mining, exploration continuously assists the mining groups, helping their ongoing mine planning. We help manage any changes or surprises in the mine. At times, when closer centered drilling is needed, our mining groups themselves pitch in with some work, some quick shallow bench drilling and sampling, which helps avoid poor quality materials from finding its way into our stockpiles. Exploration can provide updated maps and help the isolation of any trouble spots. Review of the mining proposals. Here we continue to move forward as a team. Mining outlines are reviewed with all associates involved before the mining season begins. We strive to keep everyone on the same page. This results in confidence in our plans, the use of our raw materials, and associates taking ownership in their areas of responsibility. Exploration produces grid mapping, cross sections, isopacks, and better topography as mining aids. These tools allow mining groups to easily track their progress in the field with simple measurements. This example of extraction orders are a great tool for communicating between plants, mining contractors, or in-house mining team. Our geologist and myself developed about 4 years ago, been able to actually draw out and extract better they can grasp the types of raw materials needed and help avoid many problems. The mining methods, equipment selection, and safety are related issues. Generally, the material types, formation, and terrain will dictate these requirements for efficient mining. And our company requires all mining groups to maintain a minimum 5-year mining plan. We follow a set of guidelines we call our minimum mining standards. It's always a good idea to review this with the mining associates before any new mining begins to ensure something is not overlooked. It's basically spelled out for the guys, and I think there's about 16 pages of it. It also helps them to understand if they have something missing in their mine planning book, which is something everybody has access to. It's also helpful to have a simple grid map in the field showing mining parameters and to review this often with the mining crew. Mining groups should also have a detailed written 5-year plan. This plan should involve the particulars and is done to keep production moving forward. It's also used for creating budgets, material requirements, efficiency, and historical documentation. Also, in the event the mining manager is absent for any reason, deer hunting, keep an eye on quality. Raw material testing should be an ongoing effort to ensure our stockpiles are meeting our quality standard. Ongoing testing will also create opportunities for any corrections needed throughout the stockpiling process. With mining completed, we move forward with plant testing. With the mining and stockpiling completed, we'll even bulk sample the new stockpiles for final checks by running a production test. This is where the rubber hits the road by comparing the fired testing product with the standard production run. This will tell the story regarding any success of mining and the mining of the targeted materials. These are not, these are simply two different photos. One's in the shade and one's in the sunlight. But both products are the stockpiles on the left side and the standards on the right in each photo. So this time they were pretty successful with the new stockpile. Even the best mining practices can fail without the proper handling of our raw materials. For example, stockpiles with multiple components are carefully calculated, layered, and proven as stockpiles are built. At times, the color is tweaked at top out or the cap of the stockpile. Therefore, it's critical the extraction of this pile is handled in a consistent composite manner involving bottom to top method. Also, working the face and extra blending before feeding the plant will ensure our raw material and mining success. Now, with this breakdown of issues discussed, and finally with all the pieces of the exploration and mining puzzle in place, you can put together a consistent quality product over and over again. I'm Bobby Harris. That's my program, and thank you very much for having me.